What's up, guys? Will Grant here, and we're back with another episode of Chat with Will Grant.com with our amazing co-host, Dr. Edwin Adams, the leadership alchemist. Welcome to the show, Edwin.
What is up, Will Grant? What is up, Will Grant community? It is great to be back with you, my friend.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here, excited to talk about more things that are just going to help us be stronger as individuals, stronger as a species, and stronger as a planet, man. It's been an exciting few weeks, and I got so many awesome things coming up. So I'm just excited. Like every day I wake up in the morning, I'm just excited for what's in store. I'm excited for the things that I'm working on. And man, I've never felt better. I've never felt happier, other than, struggling a little bit to walk right now at the moment. But after a crash from last week, but we're getting through it, and it's just another thing that's going to make me smarter and better.
Well, my friend, it is definitely those lessons in life that stimulate growth. So, my friend, you are a big, strong mofo for all the adversity that you
Yeah.
continuously overcome in being happy, healthy, and strong. So, kudos to you, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. Dude, I got to ask, what's the painting behind you? Is that just a hotel painting, or is that something you painted yourself or you put
Actually,
up?
I'm showing you the inside of my brain right now. It's fried.
Yeah.
That's my brain on Zoom right now. No, I am traveling this week. I am in New Orleans for the first time after 7 months. I've been given the go ahead to return to work. So
Wow.
I'm in the pharmaceutical sales business in one aspect of my life. So I arrived yesterday. So being here for the first time after 7 months is a little intimidating. It looks different, feels different. So adapting to a new environment.
And I think one day we got to have a serious chat about that, because I think it's kind of crazy that someone like me and then someone like you in your industry are coming together and having these conversations, because pretty much that everything I talk about and teach is kind of to get people away from the pharmaceutical industry, because it's really an industry that has not necessarily dealt me the best hand, dealt my family the best hand. So, it goes very deep within my beliefs. And, I think it's really amazing that somebody like me and you could have these conversations and talk about these things. And I think maybe not today, but on another episode, we got to go into depth, because right before we went on live today, we started talking a little bit about, because you said for my company, and I said, oh, are those the bad guys or the good guys? so yeah, I think it's cool that we get together, and I think that's one of the most effective things that humans can do, is to have conversations and to talk to people who are coming from a different perspective, who are coming from a different mindset, a different background. And that's how we broaden our own perspectives. It's very easy to only surround and to talk to people who have the same beliefs, who are from the same background, and that kind of just almost narrows our own level of thinking, as opposed to something I learned from one of the smartest people in the world, I think, is Ray Dalio. And what he does is, whatever he thinks, whatever he believes, he's pretty aware that it's usually wrong. Most humans are usually wrong. So it's more about what is the closest we can get to the truth. And he believes that the best way to do that is know what you understand and know what you believe, and then try to search out and find the smartest person you can find who completely disagrees with you. And then, maybe they know something and they're seeing something from a perspective that you're not seeing, and that's limiting your own viewpoint. So then if you guys can go back and forth, then you can get this triangular to understand a little bit closer to the truth. And then you can keep pinpointing in that direction by, anytime I'm confused about an issue, if it's social, political, anything, I'll first ask somebody who I know is the farthest left that I could find, and then I'll take that information, I'll ask the farthest right I could find, and then I'm usually going to end up somewhere in the middle.
Well, man, that's why the old statement says, seek the truth.
Yeah,
The statement doesn't say find it.
exactly.
You've got to look for it. And I think, man, we can go ahead and talk about this now if you want. There's no need to wait for another episode, but I truly believe that in dialogue is where answers are found. I can't be in dialogue with people who are like me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's too easy. I'm in the comfort zone. I would much rather come to the table with you, hear your side, and go, well, you know what, I agree with that. Or
You know, because I'm sure that there's a lot of things that I've said, and from your background, you're like, what? You know, like I've never heard that. Is that real? Is that true? And then, and then a lot of things that, you've said too, and other people who I've talked to, like even Gary or, my manager or people who are in the medical industry, I'm always asking them, and it's almost rare to find somebody who wants to have a conversation that, that is going to challenge their own beliefs. The only reason why I said a later date, because I really wanted to be prepared. I wanted to come with questions. I wanted to come with an idea. I wanted to come with, a whole, just idea of the things that I wanted to ask. And, but, it's
that's
cool to
fair.
touch up on this stuff. And then, we can touch up on it in a later episode. So, but we can't talk. So you are in the pharmaceutical industry today. Are you the bad guys? Are you the ones that are out pushing the drugs and the pills to, take people's power away from themselves? Because, I think that's the biggest, I guess, beef I have with the pharmaceutical industry, is because it teaches a fixed mindset. It teaches like a fixed thinking of, you're not in control of your health. You're not in control of your happiness, and to just leave it up to the smart doctors and coats and, and pills and drugs, when, the healthiest people that I know, they see the doctor the least, and the people who see the doctor the most tend to be the sickest people. And the people who are on the most pharmaceuticals, like, I actually gauge someone's health by the level of pharmaceuticals that they are on, because, if you need those outside circumstances, if it's a high blood pressure pill, or if it's an allergy, or if it's this or that, to need those outside circumstances, that's a step away from health. And pure health is when your mind and body is in control, where you're in control, and your system can take care of itself, and it can defend itself, and it's not needing any outside pharmaceuticals other than what I believe of what the earth has given us as far as food. But I mean, what's your take on that, Edwin?
Yeah, man, you covered a lot right there, Will. I will say this, that I am in a profession where we are only as good as the latest science is. So so the truth today might not be the truth tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you look at my motivation for being in the industry, I think my wife will tell you, my son will tell you, and most people that I know will tell you, I am one pharmacist on this planet who despises medication. I think it is a tool that can be used in certain circumstances to alleviate pain and disease process. I think we have good drugs that do that. I think we have a lot of drugs that don't, that I think would be more suited to having someone coached through a health crisis that is in their control. And that's probably the vast majority of cases. I work right now in a specialized industry in oncology or cancer care, where patients have no other choice. They will die. The best science we have right now says you're going to die unless we modify something in your body with this product. I believe I believe in quality of life. I believe in honoring the end of life and giving people the one currency that they're reduced down to, and that's time. So that's what I'm in the business of right now, is working for a company I respect in giving people time back that they would otherwise not have. So from that perspective, I would say I am a pharmacist in an industry trying to change a culture and give someone their time. Make no beef about it though, Will. These are for-profit industries supported by investors and stakeholders for the creation of profit. This is capitalism at its best slash worst, no doubt. However, in the process, people are positively impacted and people are negatively impacted. I'm in there trying to balance the two and serve my customer and my healthcare prescribers and ultimately the patients with the best that I have from an integrous and trust standpoint. So it's complicated, man.
Yeah.
It is a fine tightrope for sure.
And I honestly love to hear that because we need people, I think, like you and who are thinking differently in those type of industries to help change the culture. Exactly. And you said something a little bit earlier that I wanted to touch on, like, because it reminded me of my biggest beef with science, and people think like, what, wait, science? How are you going to argue against science? And, like I hear so many times from almost always the smartest people I know, they always say, "Oh, I believe in science." Like, "Oh, I don't believe in anything else but science." And like I said, this is usually coming from the smartest people I know. But something like what you said, the you're only as good as your latest science, and science changes their fact every 10 years or so, or every new
Absolutely.
study. So it's like what we knew as scientific fact in 1920 is, I wouldn't say almost all wrong, but because we've built upon that, but is not scientific fact of today. What I like to look at is what has been the truest facts since the beginning. You know what I mean? And like I like to go by so much of these laws of nature instead of laws of science, because for me, in the outside perspective, because I'm not holding any side in any way, at least I don't think so, or I try not to. But science is like, it's really good at narrowing down and understanding a very small piece of something. And science is amazing at explaining what is. And a lot of people almost have this, they have to feel like they have to choose science or spiritualness. You know what I mean? And what I've seen, especially in the last 20 years, because I follow science, is that it's just explaining how nature and how the earth, or, God or whoever or whatever you believe in, has been doing it. Like science is not fake. And, like I'm a very spiritual person, as most people can tell. But I believe that all this scientific stuff that we're figuring out is explaining how God or nature or Mother Nature has been doing it, and I think it's really powerful to understand that what we know as scientific fact today is not going to be scientific fact in 20 years, because we're constantly learning, we're constantly evolving, just like everything else in nature. Nothing is staying the same. Nothing in nature stays the same. Not even a big mountain. A big mountain is changing very, very small, over hundreds and millions of years. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that's the difference between a goal-oriented mindset and a growth-oriented mindset. Most people are goal-oriented because that's black or white, and I either made it or I didn't. I think a lot of people get skewed a little bit from a science perspective and think it's black and white. Well, there are a lot of shades of gray in science, but if you're growth-minded, you don't mind the process of constant evolution and change
and
and
and failure,
and
and like
failure.
coming up at
Yeah,
those stops. You could not have said that perfectly. Is, yeah. Oh, I think that's something that we all need to focus and refocus ourselves to every day, is becoming that growth mindset. Because even me myself, I wake up and I think about these big goals that I'm trying to accomplish, right? And I'm working so hard to do these, and even if my goals and the intentions around my goals are as golden as can be, it still takes me away from the process. And when we're thinking in the growth mindset of realizing that those goals that are way out there, we have to raise our frequency to those goals, not keep pushing those goals away, but raising our frequency in that moment. And that comes from the growth mindset, realizing that we are not reaching an event of our goals, but we are growing into our goals of actualizing and realizing our goals.
yeah. Look, there's no question. Certainty is comfortable. It's great to know facts and to stand on them because you just feel better knowing the truth. Well, you know what? I have certainly found this year that everyone's comfort zone was drastically disrupted and everybody is striving for the facts in order to get comfort back. And boy, everybody who's doing that, I think, missed a substantial and significant opportunity to shift their paradigm of life from goal to growth, because goals can be changed instantaneously. My sales goals get changed constantly, and you know what that does? If I'm not careful, that's gonna make me a little uncomfortable, And if I'm not strong-minded, it's going to make me fearful. It's going to make me anxious. All those side effects of a disruption of comfort. But you know what's on the other side of that, Will? Growth. Growth is on the other side of a disruption. So during this strange time, I think Tony Robbins said it best, winter is my season. That's the season coming up for all of us. It's the season we've experienced in 2020. It needs to be embraced as a disruption of comfort, and we need to seek growth on the other side of this, not the way it used to be. There are opportunities everywhere if we just open our eyes and get away from this anxiousness of our comfort being changed. Let's grow,
Absolutely.
man. That's what nature,
Absolutely.
that's all that nature knows how to do, is grow.
Yep. Grow, create, contribute, evolve. Like that's everything that it's about, and I think like everything that you said goes just perfectly with your health, because so many of us, we think of our health as like this goal of like, okay, I want to reach this pound, or, like I want to lose this much weight. And then if something happens and they gain a pound, or then they just, oh, I'm not going to reach my goal, I'm just going to quit. Instead of seeing our health as a growth process of like just learning more how the body works, learning more how the mind works, to learning more how to control and manage our own system. Like if you want to, grow into your health, you really have to learn how it all works. To drive a car, you have to know where the parking brake is. You got to know where the keys are. You have to know where, at least the basics are to be able to manage that machine, and it's kind of the same way, especially with our health when it comes to growth. Like we want to just be doing the best we can every day with our health. And if we fail one day, we just learn from that mistake and try to do better the next day. And there's nobody who's going to go forever and not have a bad food. Like I have bad food all the time, like I slip off my diet even when it's the most important. But it's a growth mindset of just constantly learning what made me slip, like what's causing that slip, and how can I have less of them, and do the best thing more often or more frequently.
Well, yeah, your slip is this wedge of the pie.
Yeah.
80% or 90% of the time you're doing the right thing. I think where people abuse pharmaceuticals or get into that bad habit is that 90% of the time they take a pill and think they're covered. There's no more personal responsibility in their growth. The pills got it. Well, that's external validation, just as bad as external validation is.
Yeah.
Your answers have to come from here: breath, movement, nutrition, exercise, mental strength and development. All that is here, and that is no doubt the best medicine. So if for instance, blood pressure patients, I used to have a clinic that I managed cardiovascular disease, either cholesterol or high blood pressure. And I would say maybe 5 or 10 minutes of our conversation was around the medicine and how to use it, but to set a limit on when we're going to consider reducing that medicine because we've done something else with their lifestyle, with their nutrition, with their habits from an internal perspective that may get rid of the need for the medicine later on. So I set those kind of goals. Because what I found patients would do if their blood pressure got under control with a pill, they'd stop working. So the goal isn't the answer.
But then when they need like a higher dosage or something else, because then your body adapts and it gets used to that, and I think you said the perfect word when it comes to is personal responsibility. If anyone who's listening now, and if they're on any medication, it doesn't matter if it's for cholesterol, blood pressure, anxiety, depression or digestion or anything like that, I think, the growth goal would be to slowly wean yourself off those drugs to be able to have a system that can take care of itself, a mind that can take care of itself, to where we're put back in control. And I think you're spot on. I think you said 90% of people just want to take the pill and not take the responsibility. And I think that's so much of because of our educational system, because of our medical system and the pharmaceutical industry, and politics as well, is it just preaches fixed. It preaches fixed mindset. It preaches this paradigm of, you're not in control, let us take care of it for you, and you just eat and be happy and go to work.
Yeah, you're incentivized not to work.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's crazy. But then if we take a responsibility, we have so much more power and control over our lives and our happiness. Like, I believe that every single one of us, are meant to have complete control over our happiness, have complete control over our health, and have complete control over our strength. And not to mention that the happier we are, the happier our friends will be, and the happier our loved ones will be, our parents, our kids, anyone that you care about. The happier you are, the happier they are. If your energy's low, it's bringing everybody energy around you down. And in the same way as health is the same thing, and it's one of the most difficult things, because if everybody around you is eating cheeseburgers and fast food and not really thoughtful of their health, it becomes extremely uncomfortable or extremely difficult to step out of that rhythm and all of a sudden start taking care of your health. But what I have noticed is to fight against that or resistance, to overcome that and do the best you can all of a sudden. And they start seeing that once you have a little bit more whole foods and a little less processed foods, your skin's going to look better. You're going to look happier. You're going to feel better. And that is going to bleed into your environment. That's going to make your work a little bit better. That's going to make your friends and family see these results from you. And I think that's going to encourage them to start doing these things as well. I remember when I first started doing this breathing, Edwin, I told everybody around me, you got to do this stuff. Come on, do it with me. And 99% of the people, other than, these top athletes that are around me, they understood it pretty quickly, because they're willing to try anything crazy like that. And then they feel it and they're like, oh, that's some good shit, I'll do it. But other than them, 99% of people just looked like I was crazy, just looked like I was part of some cult, or, doing something that you shouldn't be doing. That's almost taboo. And then I just kind of blocked that out, because I knew it made me feel good. And I started doing it every day. And then all of a sudden, like I talked about in a previous episode, this 6-month rule, then all of a sudden in 6 months, people started noticing these huge changes in me, to just like, whoa, why are you so happy? You know what I mean? Like, whoa, why are you doing so good? Like, man, that's weird. Like, you're not just thinking of yourself all the time, and then that's what had this snowballing effect to now all of a sudden I'm getting DMs in my Instagram almost every day asking me about breathing. And I'm just so grateful to be sharing anything that I know, because throughout that process of my own discovery, which I'm still on, of course, we all are, but throughout that process, one of the biggest paradigm shifts that I went through is I grew up, a lot of people know, or maybe not know, that I grew up in a very survival environment where I had to survive. I had to put myself first. I had to find food if I was going to eat. I had to find, the necessities, to where I had to almost overcome my environment just to survive. And then that built up this level of thinking out of just my ego, in this survival mindset of trying to overcome and beat everyone around me so I could just eat. But after I was already fed, I still had the same mindset. And then as I began to going on this journey and just learning about myself, I realized, like, well, damn, like that's not helping to fight my whole environment, because it's just bringing resistance, like it's, it's so forceful and it's so much resistance into my life, as opposed to, if I just put some energy and focus and intention on just trying to improve my environment, if that's cleaning my room to just smiling at a store clerk, or just trying to make one of my friends or family feel a little better, that made me feel better. And then the more that I just took care of my environment, the better that I felt. And then the more that I took care of myself, the more effective I was in improving my environment. And then this creates, again, this snowballing effect where me and my environment are working together, gaining energy, making progress in an instance where 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah, wow. There was a lot of great stuff in there, Will.
Yeah, I just went ham on that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, you do that really well, and you can do that anytime, my friend. You know, I was thinking about you because a couple episodes ago we were talking about your coach, that every professional BMX athlete probably has a coach, right?
Pretty much all the good ones. Yeah.
All the good ones. And why do they do that? Why do they have a coach?
For so many reasons, like it's so good to have an outside perspective of what you're doing. Like it doesn't matter if you're the smartest person in the world, but most likely if you are a top athlete, you're very smart in how the system works, but you're not, there's always somebody smarter than you. Tiger Woods has, a swinging coach, and it's good to have another perspective to check in on you and create a program for you. So you're not having to put your energy and attention on studying and thinking, but just in doing everything as best as you can.
Yeah. So I like that metaphor a lot, and I try to use it in the healthcare system. And I would say probably half the doctors out there address their patient interactions that exact way. Let me give you another perspective to think about. Let's try this first before I write a prescription. Let's get the help of some other people to help
Did you
solve your
say
problem.
50%?
Yeah, I'm being kind, Will. I'm
That
being
seemed
really
a little
kind
generous because I've met a lot of doctors in my life, and I'd say about, in my experience from the doctors I've met, it felt well over 90.
Yeah. Well, probably
But
it's the 90%.
you're in a different culture.
Rather,
You're in a different area where you're seeing maybe higher up doctors that maybe not take my cheap, free Medicaid insurance. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
so you're in a different, and that's one of the greatest benefits for us talking. Cause like you're seeing a number 50, I'm seeing a number around 98, you know what I mean? To where it's like, you're in a different environment than I'm in.
Sure.
I grew up poor where people relied on, cheap health insurance and Medicaid and Medicare, where you kind of get the lowest grade medical service, I guess is the word, as opposed to like what I noticed, my friends who have a lot of money, they're seeing different doctors.
Yeah.
They're not seeing the same doctors that my mom's seen on Medicaid.
Yeah. Money is control. Money allows you that opportunity to get that which you seek in healthcare. So that's one side of the puzzle, is that coaching, that wonderful coaching environment around healthcare. Then there's the other part, which is really the foundation of the dysfunction in medicine, which is the model under which physicians are reimbursed for their services. They get paid to write prescriptions. They get paid to run diagnostic tests. They get paid to see more people in a day, which means less time with you in that room. So the model isn't working over here, which allows a physician to be a victim to that system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think if you had an opportunity to create a wonderful coaching environment with patients, man, people's healthcare would just improve exponentially. But unfortunately, doctors go to school a long time to make a lot of money, to pay back a lot of debt. So one model's paying and one model's not.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I think that is a huge problem, is because, I'm not against making money. I'm not against profit. I'm not against capitalism. But I think the main incentive of people going into the medical industry is the good pay, is the money, is
Lifestyle.
Is the lifestyle, is that I'm thought of as a doctor, not necessarily for health. Because, I've seen more doctors than most people I know because of all my injuries and, for this and that, and they're not healthy. Usually the sickest people I know are the receptionists at a healthcare facility. Like they're usually in the worst health and in the worst shape. And most nurses I know, anyone in the medical industry, when I talk to them about health and well-being, they seem to know the least. And it just blows my mind to where, I think a lot of it is those incentives of, there's not a lot of money in healthy people. There's the money in, giving them the diagnosis and having a procedure and having, the drugs. And that's what they're learned to treat disease, never cure a disease, but to treat a disease, as opposed to growing into health, so it's like, like, you know, if I could change the world, you know, like if I just had a wand at my hand, like I would love to see the medical industry and the educational industry swap.
Hmm.
Okay. You know, and what I mean by that is if you make doctors learn all of this because they genuinely want to help people, because they're not doing it for a ridiculous amount of money, but maybe it is taken care of by the state. It is taken care of, by the federal government, like the educational system is. And you get that base level of medical, like we have this base level of education. It's not a good educational system, right? But for the people who have money, they can teach their kids with higher paid teachers in the same way that if you have money, then you could afford a doctor that is some next level doctor. But I think if because when I had the free insurance as a minor or a Medicare, or, I would go to see a doctor and he's wearing a gold chain and some earrings and, a flashy shirt. And he's just, you ready for this ACL surgery? Well, do you want to look at my knee first?
Nope. I only get
You know what I'm
paid to
saying?
cut.
Oh, just take some antibiotics. You'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Well, what's that for? Oh, that's just what we give out. Like, okay, wait, hold on a second. Like, let's figure this out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Why am I doing all this?
yeah. Like they're pushing all of this. And then when I ask them the question, they're like, why are you asking me? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then if you take the educational system and treat it like, if you're a badass teacher, you need to be top, and like just how there's these top doctors in the world, we need to be putting these teachers on pedestals. If you can really impact and teach kids, you need to be put into these huge systems to be able to help people in a different way. But I think things are flip-flopped and Will Grant doesn't run the world just yet. So here we are.
Yet there's still hope. Will Grant for president. I think there is tremendous opportunity right now, Will, for people to disrupt their healthcare environment. I mean, I know people, close friends, that have just totally transformed their lives when they take control back. I know the same. I've helped patients do it. I've helped people do it. There's something magical happening right now, and I think it's a cultural shift because people are the sickest they've ever been. We're spending an inordinate amount of money to treat healthcare disparities as well as chronic illness, and it's unsustainable. Something's going to fall apart, and it's going to be a drastic something in order to shake up these systems that we're talking about. But I think it'll be necessary. I think what people need to do right now is prepare by finding people like Will Grant who can help them body, mind, and spirit be better people. Find people like me who can help you coach or help you get coached through a process of transformation. It is so critical. And I just know this unsustainability is going to be like a COVID-19 in the future. And instead of people embracing it as an opportunity, they're going to fall prey to it, just like so many people did with COVID. And it's unnecessary. Winter is our season. Winter is the best season for planting, and that's right now, Will. How do we help people do that on a larger scale?
I think a huge part of it is awareness. Like awareness of what's going on and awareness within themselves. Like so many people, when I let them know that, or just give them an idea that they have control over their mental well-being, if somebody's extremely anxious or struggling, they feel like they have no serotonin, it's like this dopamine overload. And then we have a whole pharmaceutical, like a whole pharmacy inside of us already. We just don't know how to click the buttons and activate it. But like I've said before, I believe we do. I believe that we've lost the control and such a far disconnect from our lizard brain and we're so stuck in our monkey brain that we've lost control over the ability to control our systems and control our pharmacy and and control our chemicals and our physiology and everything that's going on. But I think the first step is being aware with how much more control that we have than what we're originally taught. Like we are in control of our health and in control of our happiness and in control of our being. We just have to take responsibility for it. Once we realize that our mental well-being is because of something that we're doing, something that we're thinking, something that we're feeling that needs to be adjusted or changed or pivoted in some way, that some habit or routine needs to be adjusted, that's when we can start making some serious change. And I think that's what is most important right now is, sharpening our own saw to help be more effective for the ones we care about the most.
Oh, that is so true. One of my mentors once told me when I was just struggling, I just could not get past the obstacle in front of me. And, and he kept asking, what do you think the problem is? What do you think the problem is? What do you think the problem is? And I kept giving him half-ass answers. And he finally said, Ed, you cannot think your way out of the problem with the same level of thinking that got you into it.
Mm.
You've got to think differently, and that requires a different perspective. So I had to do what you suggested. I had to go to the left. I had to go to the right. I had to find different views and go, well, I never considered that. I didn't consider it because I didn't think it was the right way. And I got so hung up on right that I could not see opportunity. And opportunity is everywhere if we're open to that kind of perspective shift. So critical.
One thing that I've learned about opportunity, which may be a little off topic, so one thing I've learned about opportunities is they come with intentions, So for example, I've been very, very blessed in my life to have so many opportunities just land in my lap, and I believe that happens when I know what I want, right? I have an idea of what I want to accomplish, if that's my health, right? Or if that's a certain goal or activity or business or something. If I have a clear idea, which I'm constantly every day clarifying, if I have a clear idea of my intention of what I'm trying to get out of this or what I'm trying to do, that's what helps me see the opportunity to make that happen. Because every single one of us has opportunities that fly by our head and fly by our ears and fly by our eyes every single day, and we don't even notice it, right? Like for example, it's amazing how we perceive things. Like I heard a story about, I don't know if it was that you told me this or something about someone's niece told them about a poodle and how they really want a poodle really bad. And then all of a sudden, everywhere they looked, they just kept seeing poodles, right? And every time they're driving down the street, they would see someone walking by a poodle. In the same way that if you're really hungry, you're driving down the road, you're not seeing the oil change place. You're not
I'm
seeing
seeing fast food, Will, and
you're
donut
not seeing
shops.
the big lots. You're seeing all the restaurants around you because you know that you're hungry, and what we have in our mind of what we're looking for, then that's what our mind is constantly scanning for, right? So if we're looking for problems, we're able to find problems, right? So like if you have that mindset who just breeds off of issues or controversy, or, you're addicted to this chemical reaction of, fighting somebody else, then you're going to see everywhere in your environment of where's an opportunity to fight. Or, if you know that, hey, I want to have the best health for me and my family, then all of a sudden you're going to notice every single billboard that has to do with health. You're going to notice every single Instagram post or Facebook post that's giving you a little bit of an insight of how the mind and the body works. And then the more you know what you're looking for, what you focus on expands. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and I appreciate the biology behind that. I mean, if you had to quantify the amount of data coming in through your five senses every day, it is alarming and amazing at the same time. What you see, hear, feel, it is something like, I thought somebody related to terabytes of information. It's like gigaquads of information. And there's one part of your brain that filters it. And it's called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And once it knows what you're looking for, it picks out of the environment that which you desire. Yeah. And it's really good at it. That's like when you buy your white truck because nobody has a white truck and you just want to have that standout color, and you're driving down the road and you go, holy crap, everybody's driving a white truck now. No, they were always driving it. You weren't paying attention.
I'm laughing because I literally bought a white truck, and when I bought white trucks, I noticed how, oh, like, wow, everybody has this truck. I've never even seen it before I bought it. you know,
So that priming
and that's
that
my
you're talking
exact point on
about.
opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, and that's exactly how opportunities work. If you feel like you are not getting the opportunity that you deserve, understand where your mind's at. And that's what it comes from, self-awareness. And that's why, you know, breathing and meditation can be one of the best things. And even journaling and sketchbooking is one of the best things, because once you know, or are just aware and mindful of how your mind is going and where your mind is going, that's how to reprogram your system for what you want to find the opportunities for what you're looking for.
You know, the best part of partnering with you, Will, on so much of this is seeing the people that I share this information with transform, and just people that I would have never thought I would have influence over with this. I am, and it's crazy. Just to give you a quick testimonial, Will, a friend of mine went to work for a huge tennis academy over in Portugal, grew up in Louisiana, has this wonderful job to go to Portugal and be not the athletic director, but the fitness component of tennis training for a large part of Europe. Sees all kinds of athletes flow through that tennis club. There was a girl who was experiencing some anxiety before her training matches, and she had some difficulty, you know, assimilating. She was from another country. She was there, didn't know anybody, felt a little socially awkward. And so this guy calls me and says, Ed, I know you work with kids like this. What advice would you give? I mean, she's a great athlete, tremendous potential. I said, why don't we start her on some breathing regimen? So he started having her go through Wim Hof 3 times a day before her matches, before training, and even before going into the meal hall. She won her first tournament, hands down.
That's
Confidently dominated it. She's in the lunchroom now, not as nervous, and she just recognizes those feelings and then goes and breathes them out of her body. And it's incredible how you showing me and mentoring me through that process, I've now been able to spread that to others. And man, that is so satisfying to see this girl not be put on medications to control anxiety, and for drugs to impair her sports potential with testing and all anti-doping and all that complicated stuff. She took control, and she's got a long way to go, but she has a new level of confidence strictly from breathing.
Dude, that is so amazing. That's so beautiful. Most of the times when people have an anxiety problem, they usually have a breathing issue, you know, because we breathe the way we feel constantly. You know, the way we're breathing is constantly tuning how to feel. So if you have anxiety, you're breathing in an anxious way, you know, and to take control of your breath and to breathe a different way, you can then change from anxiety to calm just based on a certain type of breathing. But Edwin, it kind of reminds me of something that I really would love to mention is I'm around a lot of athletes, and I'm around athletes who are Olympic athletes, like the top level, you know, Olympic gold medalists, all the way to 10, 12-year-old kids who are just starting and just trying out the sport. And one of the biggest differences I noticed from the top pros and the people who say are amateur, or say the people who've never made it to pro, or say the people who just are struggling, it's how their environment affects them. Okay. Now, let me give you an example. The person who goes to the race and wins pro that day, he's not worried about who's there. He's not worried about the weather. He's not worried about the trip up. He's not worried about the trip back. He's not worried about if, you know, there's always some issue or some controversy going on. He's not thinking about it. You know, like, he's not affected if it's really windy, if it's really rainy. He's not affected by the weather. He's not affected by what somebody said earlier. He's not affected by anything. All of his attention and all of his energy is going towards his intention, what he's there to accomplish, as opposed to then you go to a 10-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid who's really struggling. They get up on the gate and they're talking to you about the wind. I say, hey, we're trying to balance. I can't balance yet because of this, or this because of that. And it's this outside, they're reacting towards the cards that they're playing instead of just grabbing the cards and playing those cards, And that's the biggest difference I notice from top athletes to people who aren't top athletes, is the amount the amount that their environment affects them. There's even pros that have made it to the pro level and who are extremely fast and extremely talented, but just never quite get the result, right? And what you notice is behind the gate, they're the ones talking about the wind. They're the ones talking about, oh, this happened, or this is the problem, or complaining over some certain jump or some certain course aspect, or, and I'm telling you 99% of the time. Every once in a while, you'll have somebody go there who's just so good. I think he's bluffing, will complain, oh, I'm not feeling good today, and then go out there and kill it. But that's very, very rare. And what I've noticed about the breathing exercises specifically, the meditation and the Wim Hof, is it makes you less reactive, okay? And now you can compare being a professional athlete to anything that you're doing in your life, right? If it's being a pharmacist, if it's being, a teacher, if it's being a parent, if it's being a brother, a wife, a husband, whatever you care, whatever role you're in, you could be the best or really good at it, or you can really suck at it. And that determining factor from what I've seen is how reactive you are and how present you are. And those people who are doing the best, they are they're not reacting towards their environment, and when we wake up in the morning and grab our phone first thing in the morning, we are training our brain to react for the rest of the day, as opposed to waking up, taking control over our breath, taking control over our movement, taking control over our energy. Then we're being proactive. This is how we can take our energy, take our intention and our motivation and direct it towards the things that we care about and really see some serious progress in our lives, as opposed to just trying without feeling like we're getting anywhere, or just feeling stuck,
And I think that's the Joe Dispenza conversation right there. Escaping the environment, escaping the body, and escaping time. I think breathing does all three of those.
It does.
I mean, if you want to break the habit of being yourself, or break the rut that you're in, or the plateau, or the healthcare crisis, those are three domains of your life that you must escape from in order to get better. And Joe Dispenza talks about that.
And the reason is because all those problems and all those issues are in the past or in the future. Right now is where you have the ability to create change, right? All those problems, again, I'm going to say it again, all those problems that we have are in the past or in the future, right? And the beautiful thing about our breath is when we put our mind and our focus and our attention on our breath, it brings us to right now. Why? Because last breath is the past, next breath is the future, right? So I'm going to say that one more time. When we feel our breath coming in, noticing those senses, those sensations, we are coming back to the present moment, right? Because we're not thinking about the last breath, we're not thinking about the next breath, we're thinking about and feeling this breath. And that's why if you do a 10-minute breathing exercise, right, for that 10 minutes, you're present, you're there, and there may be times during that breath exercise, oh shit, I got to do this later. Or, oh, I can't believe Becky said that too, but then you notice that, and then you come back to your breath and you're back into that moment. So maybe of the 10 minutes, you might be present 8 minutes, or maybe if you're just starting, you might be present of that 30 seconds. But that 30 seconds of presence gives you that 30 seconds of clarity, of perspective, and the ability to create change that you want.
And I think that's what most people are seeking through pharmaceutical agents, is much faster change. And that's the illusion. Yeah. Instead of investing the time to take 5 minutes and breathe, you'd rather take a Xanax to calm your ass down quicker.
Yeah. But I would still argue that point, Edwin. So for example, you could correct me if I'm wrong, because a Xanax is something I've never taken in my life, but and that's not because I'm Mr. Holy, I've never done anything bad, but I just seen pills is something I've never became attached to. But when you take a Xanax, it takes what, 20 minutes or 30 minutes to set in?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. But in that same feeling, in that same moment, breathe for 10 minutes. Before taking the Xanax, just put your mind on your breath. Maybe do some, if it's really intense, you might need a really intense breathing exercise like Wim Hof, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I challenge you, instead of taking that Xanax, instead of taking that antidepressant, just try. It's quicker. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can go to the deepest depths of yourself and just release a little bit out of that. Just a little bit. And when you do it consistently, because, if you're having consistent anxiety, you're probably taking a pill every day. If you did the breathing as often as you took the pill, I think we'd be somewhere different.
It's worth a shot, at least.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot. Wow. So I guess I need to quit my job, Will. You've talked me into it.
Might
I'm
as
in the
well
wrong business.
fully join forces with me, and let's just fix everybody with breath, nutrition, movement, and mindset. Because I believe we can.
I think in our respective environments, we're still fixing people. We're still fixing people with these basics of life that matter most. And whether you're in my industry or your industry, the same people exist who need a different perspective. And that's what I offer people constantly. And, it's so nice being in communion with somebody who is doing that exact same thing in a totally different environment. Because we believe in that. We believe in the same things that have influence in our separate environments that are totally unrelated. I think that's amazing. And I think if you look at the cultural problems that we have in America right now, it's because opposites and environments aren't having dialogue.
No, everything is so disconnected when everything is in nature connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Avatar is a great movie that illustrates just how connected we are. And when we damage people, we're damaging our culture, our communities. There's
I heard something the other day, Edwin, when you raise your perspective or consciousness, when you raise your consciousness as an individual, you raise the consciousness of our species every single time. Because what you see in the world, everything you see in your reality in the world today is the result of all of our collective consciousness through generations. That's what built New York City. That's what built Detroit. That's what built Europe and, the Eastern world as well. It's our thinking, right? Like our being creating, our consciousness creating all of this, right? So for one person to raise their consciousness, it helps raise the consciousness of us as a whole. So imagine if we raise consciousness of 5 people, 10 people, and that's all it takes. And one person with a high level of consciousness, it makes up, like I learned this in the book Power vs. Force. Is one of the most awesome books I've ever read. Have you ever read it?
No, what's the name again?
Power vs. Force. I can't believe I never mentioned this book. This is actually the first book that made me change my whole everything. Was Power vs. Force. And like it explained that one person that has a very high level consciousness helps make up for almost 10 people with extremely low levels of consciousness,
Wow.
And that's what helps us raise our consciousness as a whole.
That's pretty incredible. So that's where, I'm reminded, I'm sorry, I keep going back to movies, but the movie Pay It Forward. I don't know if you ever saw that movie where the kid makes a challenge to go do something nice for someone who can't do that by themselves. You go do it. And then the only repayment back is that you go do it for 3 more people or 5 more people, whatever it was. And, an incredible movie showing the exponential change that can happen in the world with just you doing something for somebody that they can't do for themselves. It's the same exponential law that can impact your personal growth just by making a few minor changes in nutrition and breathing and movement can make exponential change in your health. It's the same law of the universe.
Before I go into breathing, nutrition, and movement, which I love to, I want to go back to how you said of, the pay it forward. smiles work the same way. You know, like,
Yeah.
and that's something I've noticed myself of just going into the gas station or the local convenience store of, you know, that person's busy doing their day in their own world and in their own whatever. And just to like look them in the eyes and give them a genuine smile, you can feel and see their vibration raising. You can feel that they go from here to here because posture shows how you feel, right? They lift up a little bit taller, their chest comes out, their head comes up, and they just feel a little bit better. And guess what? When you walk and go about your day, that next person who comes in line, their head's a little taller, you know, for that person. And that brings their head a little taller. And that, you know, and it works in the same beautiful way, you know. But I think to get there, to start that, we have to raise our own vibration. We have to raise our own level of consciousness. And I think what I've found the easiest, most effective way to do that is sharpening our own saw. You know, and when I talk about sharpening our own saw, I'm talking about having that growth mindset for our nutrition, having that growth mindset for our mindset, having that growth mindset for our mental, for our physical, for our ability to breathe, for our ability to move, for our ability to do anything.
Well, you can't give what you don't have. So if you're not able to transmit that energy to someone else and impact them in the way you just described, there's your sign. We cannot create change in our own lives, much less the world that we're trying to make happier and healthier and stronger, unless we have it first. So we all got to get going with creating that higher energy state. Tony Robbins says, make your move, hold your image, create your state. You know, I was never a Tony Robbins fan really because I thought he was too rah-rah and hype, but I get it. You cannot think higher than the level of, or than the state that you're already in. So if you're depressed or your energy level's down, you can't think higher than that. You can't influence anyone with that level of energy. You've got to raise your state in order to have impact and influence. And that's exactly what you're talking about doing with breath. It can only come from within you to others through these practices.
Yeah, it all starts here. Always
Yeah,
does.
you're a
It all
preacher,
starts.
man. You are a preacher. You're a pastor of breath, dude. And it's life changing. It
Yeah,
really
yeah, that's
is.
pretty cool. And speaking of breath, man, I want to help raise people's vibrations. You know, that's one of my biggest goals is to raise mine, to raise others. And I want to give away that happy, healthy, strong course. You know, that's my staple course where I put the breath work, I put the nutrition, I put the movement, I put everything all into this 6-week follow along course, follow week by week that progresses as you progress. You know, it has all different workouts. It has all different routines. You know, there's everything from yoga to breath work to recipes and everything. And I want to give it away to one person this week.
Love
And the
it.
way
What's
to
the
do it,
challenge?
challenge. And it's not going to be a difficult, crazy challenge. I'm going to make it really easy, right? Because I want a lot of contestants in this one. Okay. And I want, you know, and who knows, if I see a couple of the contestants I really like, I might give it to more than one person. Okay. But the way to get it is, one, share this YouTube video, because this is going to be on YouTube. So share this YouTube video on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram, whatever you use the most, whatever you like the best. And then comment below in the comment section down saying shared, and then why. What's your intention? What do you want to get out of the Happy, Healthy, Strong course? Why should I give it to you? Like, what do you want out of it? What do you want to do with it? And I want to give it to one person, or maybe 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, I don't know, you know, but I want to give it away to at least somebody. And all you got to do, share this video, put in the comments below, shared, and what you want to get out of the course. And I'll contact you directly and see how I can send it to you.
And I guarantee you, not only by sharing this video, but with the intent behind it, you can change someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
sure.
that easy. It's that easy. With one breathing exercise, you can feel different immediately. It is
And if
transformative,
you
man.
want to feel what we're talking about, after we get off this chat, or after you're done watching this video, after you shared the video and you commented down below, stop, turn all your screens away, and take in 30 to 50 of the biggest breaths you possibly can. Doesn't matter if it's through your nose or through your mouth or through anything. Just try to fill up your whole stomach, fill up your whole chest, let it out after, say, 50 breaths, and just hold for as long as you can. Don't think, just observe. Let the mind relax and just feel what it feels like to just be there in that moment. And you'll be able to hold your breath longer than you've maybe ever been able to hold your breath, because your oxygen levels are higher than they've probably been in maybe ever, and your carbon dioxide is all out, your pH levels in your blood are raised. You're going to be able to hold your breath longer and feel like you don't even need breath for a while, and it's going to feel really, really good. But just relax the mind and just feel. Do it one round, and then again, put another comment below and let me know how that felt. And and if it worked, and if you feel good, next time you see a friend that you see all the time, say, hey, you want to try this crazy breathing that Will Grant told me about? And then keep spreading that, and just like to pay it forward of a nice favor, let's raise our own vibrations just one notch, two notches by, a couple deep breaths and some breath holds. And then, I think that's how we can start to take care of some big problems in our society today, take care of some big issues that are going around in the world, as it takes us to raise our vibration, to raise our perspective, to gain that clarity of what's needed.
Yeah, we are the chokehold of our own potential. So breathing, I think, is a start to removing those chokeholds that hold us back from doing exactly that for the people we serve. And we all serve somebody. So we all serve as a mentor, or somebody's always watching. So
Yeah.
be your best self. Awesome. Well, this has been a great discussion. That was zero planning.
Yeah, we actually were planning on talking about something completely different.
Funny how that happens a lot with this conversation, Will.
Yeah. It's a nice, organic, sustainable conversation.
There you go. I like that. But we got good mulch. Or as my father would say, y'all got good manure or something. So anyway.
Mulch is good, manure is good, as long as we're building our soil.
I love it. Well, Will, this was fantastic. I look forward to seeing everybody's comments flow through on YouTube. That's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much, Edwin. And you ready to do another one next Thursday, right?
Absolutely. Why not? Let's keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I'm really liking these Thursdays. And another one, if you want to put in the comments below some topics that you want us to cover, or maybe some guests that you want us to ask to get on, put in the comments below some recommendations, and maybe we'll get those guests on and talk about some cool topics.
Absolutely. Let's do it, Will. Until next time, my friend. Thanks.
All right, later, bro. See ya.
Peace out.